Good morning and welcome to the second day of Alliance for Lives event, Early Stage Researchers Retreat. I hope you're all feeling good today. We had an amazing day yesterday, and I'm sure today we will as well. So let's just jump right into Slido first. During the day, we will ask you some questions, and we would really appreciate your answers. If you used the Slido yesterday, then you already know. However, if you didn't, then here you can see on the screen, there is information on how to do that. On your computer, you can write slido.com and use this hashtag Alliance for Life Actions, or just scan this QR code, which you can see now on the screen. And first question of the day is this: which topics would you prefer for the next Alliance for Life ESR's retreat? So here are the answers: open science, a key to responsible research and research integrity, training for research integrity and research ethics, and so on. So please, in this Slido platform, answer your question, and we will definitely see these answers after the first session. Small technical information first: to make sure that you can see all the presentations in full screen, please press the view button on the upper corner of your screen. And the best option I would suggest is this side-by-side option. Then you will be able to see the speakers' presentations full screen and nothing will be cut off. Also, ESRs will be able to receive a certificate for this event, and to do that, please send your request about that via email, which you will find also in the chat right now in this live stream. Okay, and now I would like to have a look at today's program, because it will be a bit shorter than yesterday. First, we will have a moderated panel discussion, which is called Trends and Traps When Communicating Research Results. And after that, we will have a small coffee break, 10:15 till 20:45. And after that, we will have the second session of the day regarding funding opportunities for ESRs. And first session will be Trends and Traps When Communicating Research Results. This session will help us understand how a professional approach in creating research results and communicating them in scientific publications, in media, and to the public can help your research and your career. So the first session will be moderated by Srećko Gajovic. Good morning, Srećko.
Hi, hello, Martin. So thank you very much for this kind introduction. My name is Srećko Gajovic, and I'm professor at University of Zagreb School of Medicine. And together with me are my two co-presenters or co-panelists, Juliana Čaušu and Esther Jarur. Juliana is from Karol Davila Medical University from Bucharest, Romania. And Esther Jarur is from CETEC from Brno. I will first try, as well as Martin, try to set some rule of the games for our panel. So we would have free presentations. And of course, as it is about communication as a key word of this whole panel, we would as well like to communicate with you. But however, with this platform, it's not easy. Our communication is two ways. So we are not going to communicate and learn by communicating how communicating is. We would like as well for you to learn how to communicate. So for this specific panel, we thought still we would decide to let you speak your question to us. So if you would like to raise the question, please raise the hand. This is virtual raise hand down. And of course, we would randomly pick a few if there will be a lot of people wanting to talk. However, your microphone will be at this moment unmuted when I call you for your question. And if you would like, I would advise you to use your camera so we can hear and see you and somehow hear and see your questions. We think this would be very beneficial for all to understand what is it about. And of course, try to be short when you do your questions. So we would have free presentations. We would ask for urgent questions in between the presentation, so after any of the presentation. And then at the end, we would have like a joint discussion to wrap up whatever we have seen. So these are my technical instructions, and I will repeat them many times just for those who are not right now with us. about our panel. So we would actually deal with 3 topics, which at once seem very different. Juliana will talk about medical professionalism. Esther will talk about communication, and I will talk about publishing your research results. And maybe from your perspective, these are totally 3 different things. But I would like as well for you to use other perspective. And this is the people for which we are doing this. So these are first primarily patients, but as well everybody, including yourself, who is seeking health. And those seeking health actually are oriented to this big community, which includes biomedical researcher producing new knowledge, which includes medical professionals applying this knowledge, and it actually includes the whole this healthcare system. And you know already, there is a lot of doubts about this healthcare system. And there is a lot of criticism on this healthcare system. So actually these 3 things which we are going to talk today about for the perspective of these citizens which are going to use the healthcare system are very important. So first, of course, every doctor has knowledge and skills, but is it really professional? Are you going to get really the best what I can get? Despite what he knows a lot, he's very skillful, but how he would deal with my own problem? This is medical professionalism. And then how all this research will be communicated to general public. This is what Esther will actually told you. And finally, how this research is produced and somehow accumulated, this would be mine. And this was this, there was a lot of as well question mark in the average citizen. Is this knowledge real? Are we going to use it just like this? Or there are so many doubts? And so without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Juliana Ceaușu. Juliana is medical doctor. She is as well researcher. So she has these 2 complicated duties. As I told you, she comes from Bucharest, Caro Davila Medical University, and she would, her main topic will be medical professionalism. Juliana, the stage is yours. Please unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Sretsko. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this talk, which is very, very interesting. And all the meetings we participate together with Sretsko was a change of ideas, not exactly like in the, or exactly like in the Plato Garden. We change the ideas and we improve our knowledge. Thank you, Alliance for Life, for yesterday wonderful day in which I found the principles of what I'm talking today. I'm talking about professionalism in research, in all our duties, because as Sretsko said, our work is multivalent. And okay, I hope that okay, do you see my screen? Yes. Okay, I hope that I have no conflict of interest, because this relates to all 3 parts of my activity: clinical, teaching, which is one of my dear subjects, teaching, because there I'm also a teacher and a student, and research not the last, but it's coming after these 2 duties. And always at the morning coffee we may have a presentation or okay,
reports that say that something hasn't happened are always interesting to me, because as we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. ones we don't know, we don't know.
Oh, a little politics, and exactly what we are trying to say, that we know that we have to know to be professional in our work, in our clinical work, in our research, but sometimes we do not know exactly how to define professionalism, how to share as teachers, how to teach professionalism, because sometimes we say it is obvious that the doctor should be good, should be interested to individualize the patient, to apply the guidelines of the national guidelines of the social imposed therapies like vaccination today. We are living amazing times, and I cannot say that they are good or bad. They are like they are, and as doctors we have to face them. So teaching professionalism, I think it's more important in these days than it was, let's say, 10 or 20 years ago, when a normality, it was settled. So first of all, in assessing professionalism in everything we are doing, we set expectation, to provide experience with our peers, not exactly only students and colleagues and professors, to learn from the others or to share. And here I think that the team and medical experience, it's wonderful in everything we are doing. And All for Life, I think it's a wonderful experience to share what we have in common, research and teaching. Based on excellence in clinical part and in research, and of course evaluating outcomes. So when we are talking about professionalism, first we have to define, and here each company and each hospital and each trust, because Mayo Clinic, it's a trust. It's more than a university, it's more than a research center, it's more than a hospital, it is a concept. So they define everything what is right in doing the things, in finding the reason, in finding the path at the right moment. Everything incorporates everything we are doing and the way we are doing the things. So everything like this, it's professionalism. But the professionalism, it's coming from ancient times, when the doctor has not to harm anyone. And maybe this is the oldest and more comprehensive definition at all, and it is coming across the cycles to nowadays, and it's applying to everybody. Of course, there are people that they observe that when we are doing complex things, when we have many specialties, when our evolution from the family doctors, doctors were doing everything in medicine. Now we have more than 70 basic specialties. The interaction and the professionalism set mostly in collaboration and in keeping the idea of professionalism in the integrity, compassion, self-assessment and self-sacrifice. This was the basis in the 17th century. In the 21st century, the need of definition of professionalism, it's coming from the right things, as the Mayo Clinic says, to also recognize unprofessionalist conduct. This is coming from complexity, this is coming from fears, and yesterday we found some of these words, maybe not exactly like this, but fear of conflict of interest and misinterpretation and bias by the personal interest in the medical field. So today, the professionalism includes the positive thing, the right thing, and the things we should avoid. And maybe sometimes we are afraid, we are too polite, and you will see that things in the leadership part, it's not very good to be neither very strong or very weak. So, and to recognize and to report this. Maybe it was unintentional, maybe has a hidden agenda, or maybe it's just lack of education. And here we can influence the professionalism of our colleagues, of our students, of our PhD. And I will try to introduce the concept of residence, because the residence actually it's a larger pool than PhD. PhD, they are the ones that have the chance, they have the dedication, the one that they want to go to the research and dedicate their time. But the resident, the education of the residents, which are somehow missed in the funds of European and even in the United States. So the name of the resident is larger than the PhD. It might give more basis and will bring more researchers, young researchers near the PhDs, that they will go for a better research, a larger pool of clinical and research things in the hospital, and the professional attitude to the one they want to improve themselves. So the definition of professionalism in the residence conducted by the dean of the faculty from the St. Paul site residence in New York, they found almost all the positive things that they found in the American Board of the Internal Medicine definition of the professionalist. So they were looking for the attributes the residents thought by themselves that they are good. Unfortunately, this was biased by the way we are asking today. We put our questions and also put our answers. And also we are doing this on the Slido. So yesterday it was fantastic that the people were able to put their own words. And I love that Srećko wants to see the person who is talking, and I love to see you all asking questions about this topic, and to see your face and to address your own fears and talks related to the subject today, tips and trips, because we are giving some ideas, some trips, what we were thinking that it's useful, but inside of you, you will change, you will take everything that it's going to fit with your own level of experience, and you will set expectation for yourself. And we hope that you will get these standards and you will increase the expectation, you will lose your fears, because the PhD, the student can be everything. We let's say the older the generation, because also it means that it is related also to the generation, this expectation at the level of understanding, the level of practice, we can set our expectations. So the professionalism, it's a very versatile idea, but putting in practice, it's improve the skills. So our actions, keeping the idea of professionalism will have consequences. And I will give one example, which is from not my specialty, which one of the wonderful specialties of obstetrics and gynecology, when we are dealing with healthy people. So here we have, again, by professional expectation, we have another point of collaboration with everybody. But let's say in the myocardial infarct treatment spaces in all the United States, where the people are treated under the same guidelines, they have the same level of emergency, they are using the same drugs, they observe that the mortality, or let's say they put in a good way, the survival rate in the first 24 hours at 7 and at 21 days, it's higher in the places where the professionalism actions were recognized, teach, observed, and evaluated, then in the same words where these things were not valued. So by treating treating the people at high level with high level drugs, with high level techniques, the professionalism attitude of the medical doctors, it is very important. The reason for, let's say, for the applying professionalism behavior in research, it was obvious when we were talking about plagiarism, and here I will not go farther or deeper in this idea, because Sretsko will present this item for the research. But there are some, let's say, things that we can overpass by easy access to material, not using English like maternal language. But we can avoid this. We can avoid this in our everyday life, and knowing these gaps, we can avoid the plagiarism. Professionalism and teaching professionalism, it's a part of, let's say, hidden curricula. It is, we don't have a class to be called, today we will teach professionalism. Professionalism, it's a continuous attitude. It's a continuous attitude near the bed in the clinical part. It's a continuous attitude of the teachers from their way they are coming to the hospital, from their way they behave, from how they tolerate the bad parts of the environment in a hospital, how they tolerate the bad parts from the students, and even this, it's important, and it's a part of education in teaching, in professionalism for the further students and residents. And the basis of professionalism will start from the background of the people we are trying to deal. And now when in our universities there we have 100 students, they are coming for 6 weeks in modules, or we have the researchers, they are working in our departments, and they assume they will have clinical work and they will conduct research, and sometimes the day has not enough minutes. 24 hours are not enough to assess the backgrounds and culture and fears of everybody. And that's why we should turn our time, and our institutes and leadership should turn our time to value the time we are addressing to this hidden curricula, to professionalism. We should have time to talk with one another, as Sretsko said, to understand the fears, to see if our colleagues, our PhD students understand what they are doing, if they are understanding, and if they have a model not exactly of for their research, because they can do research on cells or on clinical skills, but to have model for their work as a model in not exactly around them, but also in the institute or in the researchers around. And by going for their models, they need to do their inner research to know themselves. How we can do this? In a study, when they conducted a study between the generation, we know that now we have generation, and this is by itself a talk. And maybe we can meet together to have this talk about the perception of the generation, the education, and how we address them to cover the gaps between the generation. It is a teaching strategy to do the lecture, the case studies, the role modeling, to understand what they are looking for, what their expectation of our students and PhD, and to see how we can help them to find their role models, to have time for mentoring and small group discussion. And in these 2 years of pandemic, I think that there were opportunities to do this in small groups because we were forced to do this in small groups. The e-communication was good in a way, but it was not good for the communication for the researchers. To gather together and to share and to interact, because interacting, I'm very happy to see Sretsko and Esther, but I would have loved to have a chat with them at the coffee in the morning directly, because this improves the human relation and help the people to get more insight of one each other. I think that if we will have journals and conferences for the PhD and at the level of PhD, we can add this to the strategies for the generation. Of course, not exactly the older generation, let's say it is mature generation, the people who are already established in one specialty. They are, as we said yesterday, the teachers are students for transfer of technology, research and development, published and perished. So they are also students, and they need to keep their professionalism up, to keep up to date with the science. And as we see in these days, and as we saw in the last 2 years, everything can be changed. Our base, our way of treating people can be changed by a disease, by a situation, by a political situation, by war, by we change our way of living, we change our way of traveling, and despite this, the infectious disease cover all the world. So going from professionalism, it's like a temple, and it is based on clinical competence, and here we add also research competence, communication skills, and we have to learn how to communicate by any basis, directly or by with the intermedium of the computers and internet, but also to keep up to date it with our personal development in communication. And here I love what Esther is saying each time when we are seeing each other. Ethical and legal understanding, and here the ethics and guidelines and behaviors should be taught, and and here it's a very important basis of this temple, because we have to understand that there are rules, and we have to promote what is important for all the other people by standing a professional, and not tolerate, let's say, the gaps in this understanding for the social health. And of course, the excellent humanism, accountability, and altruism are the pillars that will go on the profession. I will go further quickly, because this you are not alone. And to being a professional, even a student or a teacher, you are not alone. There are things that they are related to community, to the teacher itself, to the things we are doing, and by defining the research activities and teaching activities, we are helping each other to keep the professionalism level very high, and also the communication. So all the three parts are not related only by ourselves, but also we have to do in the community. We are going back to the Aristotle, that it giving us a model of a virtuous person. But Aristotle is saying not only to be virtuous, but to have this virtuosity in special proportion. Too much or too less, it's harmful for the others. So even for the teachers and for the students, they should to be taught to understand what they are doing good or they are doing best, and also what they are doing less good, and to improve themselves without harming their evolution by research. The problem in professionalism, it is going how to communicate all these things and how to understand the principle of professionalism in your day-to-day work. And last 2 years helped us to understand that the communication on the internet and on our personal Facebook, on our hospital training have good things, like an example with diabetes, like information, like in organ donor, in hospital services, in providing the guidelines and changing in the national guidelines. But also keeping our professionalism from the personal to general environment. We have to think before we use all our skills and to be professional, even in the private life. Electronic communication with patient, and here I cut everything because it is very important to set up rules related to professionalism and to research in the research clinical settings. And here again, it can be a session by itself, and it also rules, unfortunately, by the malpractice law, that they should be avoided by establishing a very good environment for research and communication in consultation on the internet. Teaching professionalism is also based on the direct simulation, and we can practice also, we can learn by simulation, and this is a new part in teaching professionalism and also in the research. And we have to not let in 2022 professionalism to be get by everybody according to their own knowledge. Is it a say in the Mayo Clinic based on the Hippocratic Oath? We have to teach professionalism in a way that we are sure that our students and our PhD students and the young researcher will understand the basis of professionalism. It will not be understand that we should state these values to be sure that they get them, and they will work in this way to improve their professional skills according with the basis of professionalism model. In clinical situation.
Juliana,
yes?
Maybe
yes?
You can wrap up due to time constraints.
Yes, I will. Yeah, I'm at the end. Yeah, in the clinical situation, we don't have to forget, and in research, that the role model is very important. This is my last slide. That's why I'm at the ending. Teaching professionalism, it is not about doing the right things. So what we are learning, and we are technical, and we are very good in what we are doing. It's not doing the things right. So it's not only the emotion we are putting today in this communication as teachers and as students for others. It's just to continuously improve our professionalism in everything we are doing, and to include this principle in our everyday life or as medical professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana, for this inspiring talk. And as due to the time constraint, I can allow only for one urgent question. So you need to raise your hand if you would like to raise these questions. And as I'm looking on the list, if there will be anybody raising the hand, I will just say, try to teach you one thing from this, is that at the moment you come at your work, it is opening your computer, taking your pipette or whatever. Your day does not only depend on your knowledge and your skills. It as well depends, are you professionals, how you are going to perform all this. It's embedded. This is this beautiful hidden curricula which Juliana actually told you. I don't see any raised hands right now, so I give the floor to Esther Jarour from CETEC Brno. She is really expert in communication, and she really does the work, working, communicating with the researchers in her everyday job. So Esther, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you for those compliments. So welcome Europe, welcome everyone. I will be talking about strengths and traps of science communication. So my name is Esther Jarur. I am the communications lead at SATEC MU, and I'm also the official spokesperson of the Institute. I help scientists to draft press releases about their work, about their projects and recent publications, and I offer them to the media. I will start this talk with a little observation. If you have ever seen an American scientist starting a talk, you would notice he usually starts with a joke or with an interesting hook at the beginning to get the audience's attention. But a typical Czech scientist would usually start with an apology. He would start excusing himself or herself while this talk will not be that great. To admit, I have done the same mistake before, but it was one of the first things I have learned when I was studying in Switzerland. They told me, Esther, don't ever do this again. Don't put yourself down already before you start it. So my dream is to help scientists to advance their communication skills, to be able to present their research results effectively, so people will understand their science and care about their science. But also I would like to help them to enjoy presenting and to do it confidently without excusing themselves already at the beginning. So next slide, please. I will have to hurry up faster than I was expecting because I see the time is running. So I will tell you what is science communication, why should you communicate science, something what the pandemic had taught us, how to deliver engaging presentation, and how to draft an engaging press release. Because I have only 10 minutes, this will be really a quick rush through what science communication has to offer. And later on, you might sign up for one of my courses in the academy, in the Skills Academy. So next slide, please. So science communication describes a variety of practices that can transmit scientific ideas, methods, knowledge, and research to non-expert audiences mainly, or experts from other fields. And it should be done in accessible, understandable, and useful way. I have provided few pictures. My favorite one is, for example, the one on the top where you see two people and a wall between them. Those are our PhD students on a very popular show, Science Slam. And the girl, she is bacteria, and the guy next to her, the PhD student with the funny thing on the head, he is bacteriophage P68, and they are showing how bacteriophages are invading bacteria. So science communication has really many faces, and you can also engage people into science or make them excited about science, also on such popular shows like Science Slam. Next slide, please. So why should researchers communicate science? I think researchers are the hero of today. And unfortunately, this is being underestimated. We have seen that there is a big mistrust in science nowadays, and it's a pity because researchers, they should share their work and their achievements and what their science actually does for the society. It is a possibility to present, to advocate for your research, for your science, and also establish research collaborations in other fields. And you can also meet other researchers and make potential contacts for future collaborations or positions in your lab, or for position for yourself in the future. Next slide, please. Okay. The recent pandemic has been a very big lesson for all of us, for researchers, for science communicators, and for journalists, that science communication is super important. And I am convinced that everyone now understands that it matters, and that we should engage more in science communication and do it better and more effectively. We have seen that fake news has spread mainly because people who were presenting with confidence, they were trusted more than scientists who were presenting facts, but they seemed insecure. So I hope that we will all work on our science communication skills, and we will help to restore the public's trust in science. Next slide, please. So now we will come to the most essential tips, how to deliver an engaging presentation. As I said, this will be just a super quick summary because our time is very limited. So next slide, please. So the most important thing is to adapt each presentation to your audience. If you have to deliver presentation somewhere, it's not about asking how much time do I have and then shortening your usual presentation to the given time and just delivering whatever you deliver in your lab. You should understand that the more you know about your audience, the better presentation you are going to deliver. It is not only about knowing them, but also understanding their needs and what do they want. They are investing their time when they come to listen to you, and you have to satisfy their needs and also understand what are your needs. What is the goal of this presentation? What do you want to achieve? And you have to align your goals with the goals of your audience. Next slide, please. So the second important thing you have to know that your presentation is like a dance with your audience and you are leading. So it's very important, especially if you speak live and not like this staring into the screen, that you have to establish eye contact. You have to feel how the people in the room are feeling and you have to lead them. If they are bored, you engage them and you basically lead the entire talk. Next slide. Okay, if you see that people in your audience are bored, you can always engage them. Engaging audiences is also good for realizing who is sitting out there. So if you would be sitting in front of me, I could ask you if you have ever delivered presentation before, and it would help me to understand how many of you have experience with delivering presentations in public. I could ask you how many of you are actually afraid of delivering presentations, and I would know how is your level of self-confidence when you are delivering presentations. So engaging audience can be good not only to break the boredom or engage them, but also to get to know your audience. Next slide, please. Okay. Another important point, it's all about balance. Here I have in mind the balance between facts and emotions. Because if you are a scientist, you are presenting scientific facts, but people are emotional creatures and they have to see that you are showing your emotions. So your presentation have to always be very well balanced. Next slide, please. Okay. This will be about the content. I would recommend you to use the power of storytelling. Storytelling and narratives are a very popular trend in science communication, and every scientific discovery has basically the very same element of a legend. So every legend starts with some problem. So just as you are solving a certain problem in your PhD topic, this is the problem you're presenting at the beginning. Then you have the heroes. Heroes are the scientists, are the technicians, are your colleagues, your collaborators, people who collaborate with you on the research. Then you are overcoming certain problems. You are doing your experiments. Things go wrong. It doesn't work out on the, immediately. So you have to describe all your challenges you had to overcome, and it will make your story interesting. At the end, you have a research result, and this is basically the happy end. So when you are structuring your presentation or your press release, try to use the power of storytelling to make your research and communication of your research more engaging. The next slide, please. Okay, now we come to the actual delivery. You have prepared your presentation, you know your audience, and you are about to deliver the presentation. Did you know that glossophobia, which refers to the fear of public speaking, is the world's most common phobia? There has been a research done in the US, and 4 out of 10 Americans are actually afraid of public speaking. Imagine Americans, the most confident people on the planet, they are afraid of public speaking. So I don't blame us that we are afraid of delivering presentations. So what can you do about this? Next slide, please. And there is a variety of techniques that I teach the students in my course, but I usually use this one particular slide where I say that giving scientific presentation presentations is almost like riding a motorcycle. Why almost? Your audience is like the environment you are riding, the road, the curves, and you know, the environment. You are the rider. But if you deliver scientific presentations and you make a mistake, nothing really happens. People usually forget very quickly, or very often they don't even notice the little mistake you have done. If you are riding a motorcycle and you make a mistake, you could fall down, you could get injured, you could die. So always think of it that if you make a mistake by delivering scientific presentation, nothing really happens, and you can learn from your mistake and you can become better presenter next time. So don't ever give up on the opportunity of giving scientific presentations, because they will be part of your everyday life. And the only way to learn it is to keep practicing. So don't ever be afraid and think of the motorcycle. So next slide, please. Now, don't underestimate the power of first impression. We all have only one single chance to make a first impression, and you don't want to spoil it. And it's not only about having the right dress or looking good when you come there on the stage, or looking confidently. It's also about establishing credibility with the way how you introduce yourself, so people will trust you, but also establishing sympathy. The people have to feel that you are on the same wavelength length. So first impression is about balancing, again, facts and emotions, and about creating sympathy and credibility on the same time. Next slide, please. Here, I would like to say that also you should not underestimate the power of a smile. I'm sure you remember, you have seen many presentations when somebody comes and he never smiles. And then you will also never see anyone in the audience to smile. It's absolutely natural that we respond to the emotions of the people who are on the other side. So if you enter the presentation and you smile at your audience, most likely they will smile back at you. It will give you more confidence, it will relax you, and it will be easier for you to present. So do not underestimate the power of a smile. Next slide, please. Okay, here I would say, dare to be different. In science, there is a lot of competition. Sometimes you will be one of many presenters, and it's always good when people remember you, because this is how you can get your collaborators, how you can make new contacts. So don't be afraid to be slightly different than others. There's nothing wrong about it, and creativity is valued. Next slide, please. Okay, and this is also a super important slide. Your passion for science is your superpower. Use it. This is what I like to tell to the scientists. They do amazing things. They are the ones who will be saving our future. And they should show it. They should show their passion for science, their passion for what they do, because if they show it, people will care about what you are doing. So next slide. Okay, so this is basically a summary, what makes a good presentation. And because we have such a little time, I will not read through the bullet points. I will share my presentation with you in the end. And we will move to the next slide, which will be about the press releases. And I will give you just very quick few tips how to draft an engaging press release. So next slide. Okay, so press release, important point, it's timing. Do not wait until your paper has been published. Inform your press officer in the moment when your paper will be accepted, and start working on the press release on time. It's always great when you offer the press release to the press on the very same day when your publication was published. You have greater chances that they will write about your research. Try to make it relevant to people's lives. Proximity. So if you are from a certain place, offer it to the newspapers from the same place. They are more likely to care and more likely to publish your research. Implications. So speak about results that have profound consequences. Controversial topic. It's also a very good way to sell a press release. Of course, mystery or major science, or if it was published in a major journal. It's also about aesthetics. So if you have a wonderful scientific image, it's a good way to promote it. Also, some sexy topic, something that is in on the same time and making headlines, or some new interesting angle to a certain problem. Next slide, please. Now, what should your press release contain? It's very simple. You should basically write who did something. So the scientists and the institutes who were involved. Don't mention anyone, concentrate on the first and corresponding authors. Then when did it happen? Recently, date. Why did it happen? This is basically the social relevance. Why did you do this research? What can it do for the society? And please do not ever forget this point, because this is what the readers actually care about. Why are you doing this research and what can it do for them, for the ordinary people? Describe briefly what did you discover in a very understandable way, and state where it was. As long as you answer those 5 questions, you have everything in your press release that should be there. So I would recommend to write a very catchy, nice, short paragraphs at the beginning, and then continue as you're writing a storytelling story in your rest of your press release. Next slide, please. So, and then when you write, just keep those things in mind. Be as brief as possible. Always avoid scientific jargon. The normal people out there, they don't understand the name of the molecules and the abbreviations and shortcuts. Even if you use something that you think they understand, try to explain it very simply in few words. The more understandable the press release is, the more likely are the journalists going to take it, and the more likely are the people going to read it. Simplify as much as you can. Make it easier with like graphics, illustrations, or you can use metaphors. Metaphors are also very powerful to communicate your research in an understandable manner. Make it worldwide, so use language that will be understood by as many people as possible. Educate means explain anything that people might not know, and then you can go for the grandma proof. Try to explain your research or read a press release to somebody who is not a scientist and ask him or her whether he understood what did you discover, and try to ask him to repeat in his same words. If he will be able to do it, your press release was well written. Next slide, please. Okay, and this is it from me, and I would be very happy if you could give me a feedback on this presentation via Mentimeter. I will not share the results because there is no time for it, but there are a few questions that I would like to know, and it would help me also to prepare the next course for you. There is also a question, what would you like to learn in a science communication course? So this was all for me, and I'm giving the floor to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther. It was very inspiring, and whoever actually can see me, I think that now you can see me. You see how I already learned how to smile because it's important. And don't forget this grandma principle. So if your grandma cannot understand what you're doing on everyday basis, cannot understand your experiments, then maybe you should think about your project, because maybe you don't understand what you are doing as well. So I think this is so important. Just I want to highlight what I think is so important. So smile and get your grandma engaged. And this would be already some kind of first steps. So I'm looking if anybody raised a hand, and if technical service thinks that I cannot see it and there is someone, let me know. If not, because I wanted to allow only for one short question and I don't see any, I will give the word to myself. So you see, now I'm turning from moderator to the speaker, still smiling and trying to share the screen. Okay, so we are back to these trends and traps. And actually what I'm going to share with you are scholarly publishing. And as well, I will try to shorten my points as much as I can to leave some time for the discussion. This is like a joke, what Esther said. So don't excuse at the very beginning. And this is exactly this slide, which she said, never do this. So I thought it would be nice to have a slide that I have some credentials to do this for you. And this is it. I was editor-in-chief of Croatian Medical Journal. So I think I have credentials to speak about publishing. But as you see, the joke should be at the first. And I have to admit you, I deleted the joke because I thought it's too much slides. But this is not a joke, but it will replace the joke. So this is something which is important for to discuss what is actually scholarly publishing, because this is actually the summary of one of my publications, where they asked for a summary slide, so I had to produce this. I actually wanted to stress that if you voice up your opinion in the public, this is not a scholarly publication. And during the COVID-19 pandemics, we really asked many, under the quotes, experts, what they think, how the pandemic will go on, when it will end, what we should do. And there are so many opinions there. So what is the difference to scholarly publication? It is not peer review. You just go there and say something. And you have noticed many people saying many things, and so-called influencer saying one thing today, just another thing tomorrow, because the situation changed. And then after third day, situation again changed. They could claim, oh, yes, 2 days ago, I said this and I was right, so I can claim my own. Although they were switching sides. And as the pandemic is still going on, at some point, actually, I think the people recognize these switching sides just to be liked by people, and they don't want to hear these people anymore. However, if we want to be scientists, if we want to produce knowledge, we need evidence-based approach. So this was something like, I will actually rephrase publish or perish, because this was first, if you are a scientist, you need to publish, otherwise you perish. But now we as society, if we do not produce the new knowledge, if we do not publish it and collect it, we as a society would perish, because we would not be able to counteract the pandemic. We would not be able to counteract global warming. We would not be able to counteract many challenges which are around us. So this is something which is really important, that we really, when we want to show something, do this in a scientific way. However, there is another trap which we like to avoid. This is publish and perish. And I will go again from the society point. We have currently a huge amount of publications around. Still, maybe as a civilization, we can perish, because we do not appreciate what is going on. We do not conceive what's going on. And all this amount of publications, is this really worth of what we are actually striving? Will it answer the mandate we get to help the society? And here are two hashtags which are relatively important for what I want to share with you. One is don't look up. So this is whatever you said as scientists, they don't care. And the second is how dare you. So about don't look up, everybody knows. How dare you is what Greta Thunberg said in United Nations when she was invited. She said, how dare you be like this, destroying the society, destroying the earth, don't care about anything. So something like this. So if we can still publish and still perish. So it's important what is actually there in this publication stuff, and what is about you. Could you publish and actually due to your publication perish? So here are some important issues of scholarly publishing, which are actually traps of scholarly publishing. Two of them are actually related to yourself, and two of them are related to environment. Plagiarism and scientific rigor are related to how you're doing your scholarly publications, and publishing and predators are actually all about the system. So about plagiarism, it's frequent, and it's very frequently not really willing to be done. So I will go very short. I will not go to this, but there is the link. Please go there. if you just Google Princeton and plagiarism, there is very nice explanation how actually to avoid plagiarism, what is plagiarism. And I will just go to the first point, which is paraphrasing. Because if you write the introduction of your paper, you're actually going to paraphrase all these previous results of other people. So this is not plagiarism as long you do referencing. So important point, don't be afraid if you paraphrase something, as long as you put the reference at the end of this sentence. If you don't put it, then you're in danger. So another point is, so the plagiarism around 10%, and it could be detected, it could be measured. However, there is another question, it is lack of scientific rigor. And we joke, this is research integrity of bad science. So sometimes, actually, how you design your experiment is not really super proper. And this is a very complicated question. And we don't know how much of this so-called bad science is around. And by estimating people trying to reproduce other experiments, and these reproduced experiments were designed just to the top, these publications which are in the top class journals, the amount of unreproducibility of a top class journals was worrisome. So current estimates are around 80% of publication are not really according to this. And who is responsible? Only authors. This is very important. Reviewers reviewing your paper, agreeing this is good, not responsible. Editors, not responsible. Journals, not responsible. Only you are responsible for the research you are publishing. And there is a question, maybe once in the future, we will have research auditors to go around and check what we are publishing, check what we are doing. This is not yet in place. And this is just some example. This is from my own papers. So the dots are scientific papers. This is a meta-analysis. Just let me show you. Oh, sorry. So here there will be roughly 80 papers about the topic of gene transfer in the mouse brain. And you see this line here. And this says there was no difference in this experiment. And here the difference goes rise. And this is actually the error of these experiments, which were published in this experiment. So you see, as much your error is higher, you are more likely to present that the results of your experiment are more statistically stronger, or that the difference, effect of your experiment is bigger, which is really interesting. So how to avoid it? Use the guidelines. There is really nowadays guideline for every type of the study. ARRIVE or ARRIVE, a guideline is for example, very important guidelines for work with animals, and follow the guidelines and report all necessary things. So can this be checked? Yes, indeed. There are some tools, risk of bias tools, which actually we can check already published publication, and green is percentage of publication on one topic, which actually took care about one of these guidelines. And you see that it is yellow is unclear, is predominant color. And of course, even something they did not do it is as well appearing. So that it means that your scientific rigor can be tested. And in the next part, I will go for something which you cannot control. So you can control, you are not going to do plagiarism, fine. Nobody actually likes this. Second, don't increase your scientific rigor because you have very clear guidelines, follow the guidelines. And now you want to publish something and you are in the system. And this is the publishing system, which is a business model. And here we come to the very worrisome points that at one moment we actually spoke about open access, means all the knowledge will be free. And someone said this would be the end of big companies working on our knowledge. And this is not true, because we now know that the cost for actually commercial activity of publishing research results is just now at the cost of the authors. So in the previous system, the readers were the one who were actually paying. Now the authors, the producers of the knowledge are the one paying. And there is quite, maybe we can leave this for a discussion, that this system is a bit of weird because the publishers are private entities and they need to survive on the market. And how they survive? From the money coming from the publications. So there is an inherent, I would say, I would dare to say, conflict of interest of this business model. This is as well used by predators. So how to be a predator? Who is the predator? So if you can sell the open access, fine, we are going to offer open access. So you just make a new journal, you send the thousands of emails which you receive in your mailbox every day. You have a great title, Journal of Stem Cells, Translational Medicine, Neuroscience, and Ethics. So everybody fits. And you offer your open access and your publication for a very small fee of only 100 euros, because big guys will charge you 3,000 euros. And fine. So nobody will see your publication. It will be open access. So they will not cheat you. However, there is no good peer review and so on and so on. So this is a big side business. So you be careful, don't publish in these predatory journals. So how to avoid this completely? Just a second. Oh, I'm sure. Here I am. Good. So there was a Jeffrey Beal is still librarian. He curated the list of predatory publishers and predatory journals. However, at one moment, he was threatened to be sued by those on the list many times. But as he was employer of university in the States, the university was backing him to do his job. But then at the end, the threat of this legal process was so big that the university said, oh, we are not going to support you anymore. So the list is not anymore Beal's list, it's anonymous and it is on the web, so you can check the list. And with this, I will actually end my presentation saying that whatever you do means publishing, communicating, doing your experiments and taking care about your professionalism and your scientific rigor, which is more or less going hand in hand, think that actually what you want to achieve is impact to the society. And I bet with you that as it is currently 202 people are with us, that if 200 people will make an impact, we would change the humanity. So thank you very much. So this is ending me as a presenter. Now you see I'm still smiling, but changing my role. And I'm back to moderator. Just I will stop sharing. Yes. And I'm looking for raised hands. One, I saw one. Is this still there? No. Sorry. Yes. No. If raising hand appears, I will of course appreciate this, but I will start with some questions. We actually spoke here about medical professionalism, about how we need to be ethical, how we need to communicate with the society. Are we the only one which are there? So if you look in a pandemic time, when you speak about media said, oh, we don't really need to be so much ethical because we are on the market, we need to sell the newspapers. So if you are not really very interesting to us, we are not going to take care about what you're going to say. Then you go to the politician, they said, oh, we don't care about pandemics, we need to save our economy. Fine. And you go. Are we the only one trying to be ethical, trying to be really professional? Is it how we can actually partner with others to say that society should be ethical, that the society should be professional? And Juliana, you raised the hand, so I give you the word.
Thank you, Sretko. your presentation. It was wonderful. And I was thinking during your presentation about this hemorrhage of open access. Is it the role? So why we are publishing? We are publishing to present our research, but also sometimes the people are forced to publish, you know, by the contracts to finalize their academic work, the PhDs, you know, to present their activities, and also to improve their academic record for, let's say, for getting a better job and a better position. So these are the scientific meters that we are facing. What will be the role of the leadership of the universities, of the PhD schools in assessing the quality of this open access? So is it normal for somebody to publish 7 articles in the same number of journals? Or let's doing like this. Can we do something to increase the professionalism in presenting this article, to put some standards if the people are just, you know, pressed by the outside community to do this?
If I can go directly to the answer, there is a big trend that first we should avoid pure scientometry or bibliometry as judging one's career, and that we should rely a lot about peer review. This is why Alliance for Life is really important, because by joining the institutions which are sharing some kind of similar environment, being new members of European Union, having some kind of similar history, not going into the detail in this, that we somehow can share this power of peers and actually help us to get a good peer review. Because if you send your CV to a very super American professor, maybe he would not understand how you have actually to fight in your environment to produce your results. So maybe this would be better. And I want to introduce something which I call the contexts. So this is the same. This is very related to the impact. So impact and context are very important. So let's say if you would be judged, have you actually changed the context of your research, environment? Have you changed the context of your institution? Have you made any impact out of your institution? Then, of course, your publication are valid, have value, and your work there was good for your environment. And this could be judged only by peer review. I think we have a question, but it was in the chat, I think. No, it's just mentioning Esther and thanking it for this. Juliana, could you come back? Do you think that the professionalism can be extended out from the biomedical community? Do you think that actually we can ask other community to be professional as well?
The professionalism, it's a context. It is applied for everything we are doing. I will give you the context of the car industry. Yeah, we are looking for professionalism in the car industry for the point of view of, let's say, less environment harm, in the benefit of the people, to be to have a high quality, to have let's say protection in the car while they are going from a place to another, to use more electric cars. But even now we are talking about batteries. So even the professionalism in the is a concept that it applies with everything we are doing. Yeah, not only in the medical context. So in the benefit of the people and in the benefit of the environment. Like now we are thinking. So maybe I would like to have high-speed cars, yeah, but the environment will impose me to have electric cars and hybrid cars, and so they should apply all this professionalism care and in this world, in everything they are doing, in the car industry, in the let's say in the buildings. We know that there are places in the world where the earthquake are going to be 8, 9. So there are strict rules in doing the buildings, and the professionalism of their builders. It will protect the people during the earthquake. So professionalism is a concept, and I think that someone I heard also from the administration from the United States, that somebody said that the situation around the world in many places, it is done because the standards are going too low. You are mute, Stresco, sorry.
Martins, please let me ask one question to Esther before you stop us.
Srečko, sorry,
yes.
I just wanted to tell you that this is a very interesting session, and if you'd like, we can take 10 more minutes from the coffee break and keep the discussion going for 10 more minutes.
Martins, you are invited to Coffee Zagreb.
Thank you.
Coffee.
And in Bucharest.
Thank you.
Esther, we have professionalism as well in communicating. Actually, what you have told us is actually to communicate professionally. Of course, we want to say that there are high ethics of communication, and but we want to engage the public. So where is the border of political correctnesses and what you put on one slide saying sexy presentation? So should we be afraid that we at some moment we are not going to be politically correct? Could we maybe do it too much or something like this?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me go back to it's all about the balance. And as a scientist, you have to remember one thing. You always have to be factual. The facts, they come first. So you can never present something that you do not have evidence that it's working. You have to present it factually as it is. You can never bend the facts. The facts are the key. But the way of presenting it in a way that people will care about it, explaining to the people why this research matters for their lives, why they should care. Okay, so the facts, they are always the key, and politics should also stay out of science. So do not even think about political correctness and trying to defend a certain political idea. You should always be factual as a scientist, and facts are first and the rest is following, and it's just about the delivery. And the sexy topic, it doesn't mean people should dress sexy, or sexy topic means topic that's currently in. So sexy topic nowadays, it's COVID, it's viruses, okay, it's topic that is in, but it doesn't have anything to do with really be sexy.
Yeah, thank you very much, because it is really important. Because there is a lot of, let's say, even serious or let's say imaginary situation where actually professors, when trying to communicate, overstep this, trying to make a joke. And the joke can maybe be not really understand well. So as well, when you do the joke, when you do this, try to use these highly ethical rules always. So I think that being highly ethical is really important.
If I may just add to this also, I think I was saying this as an example at the beginning, but it doesn't mean you should begin every presentation with a joke. I said with a joke or with a hook. And hook means something, it's an attention grabber. It's a way that you grab the attention of your audience and they will stay with you. The grabber could be a joke. Americans, they would prefer to use jokes. But in Europe or in places where you have a multicultural audience and where you are not safe to use a certain joke because different cultures could perceive it differently, it's much safer not to go with a joke, but with a hook. And more in details, you can find out this in the course. This was just really a teaser to show what is possible and how things can be done. But please don't take it that every single thing I said is as it should be, and everybody should develop his own style that fits his audience and his own needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Recently, I had a discussion with my students that if you are a medical doctor and you do research and you are a professor, that maybe you are one of these parts will suffer. And Juliana, can we actually think about costs of medical professionalism? That at some moment we cannot afford medical professionalism. Is it possible to say that, let's say, the people working, so you, for example, you will not be able to join us for some kind of testing, which is not important, because you are overwhelmed by patients coming. And could we, or maybe, you know, the ones would say, oh, I cannot really do my experiments well because my antibodies are 3 months delayed. So I'll wrap up my experiments anyhow because I cannot wait anymore. I will lose my position. Can we actually think about cost of medical professions? Is there a cost of being ethical? Or do you have, Esther as well, this is a question for you. Can we compromise at one moment because it's just a real life?
Yes, of course. We are just thinking now in the last years when the state and they collect all the fridge they were in which we were keeping the probes, you know, all the fridge minus 80, they collected for the benefit of the vaccination. So they were not enough. So even at the university level, we donate all the fridge for the vaccine to be kept in order to be offered to the people in the hospital and to the people outside. So it was a harm. It was a harm to the researchers who are keeping their probes there in order, you know, to buy a kit and then to apply to all the probes. So it was really a fight to find a place and to ask for at the university. So in this, to keep one fridge for all the probes and how to transfer, and there are people that they lost their work. Also, there were accidents when the electric light stops, and they lost all the probes. So it is a cost. It should be. It is a cost to keep everything in place. And as you remember, we had a talk in Bucharest that there was somebody who was doing the PhD and they were doing CT, neuro CT instead of MRI, because at that hospital it was not, they could not afford to do MRI 2 times at that patient, so they had just an external MRI. So on the ethics, so it was a standard treatment in that hospital. Even in the guidelines, the images should be from the MRI, not from the CT scan, if you remember. So it is a cost. It is a cost. It is a cost to have the standards. Yeah, and there are, like now, that there are people with a certain disease and they have a novel treatment. They cannot have access to it because it's very expensive, and the state should support this this cost of the novel treatment. And you have to publish the research with the actual treatment, your results with the actual treatment, which is no longer, let's say, the best. You know that it is not the best for your patient. And these are not only cost by, you cannot afford to buy the treatment for the patient to see the results. You know, so you have to be included in a consortium or to attend funds, and even the society should support this rare disease, offering novel treatments and treatments for this patient. So it is a cost, and it is a threat. According with funding opportunities and with the actual finding cost. And that's why the universities that want to improve their PhD schools should offer let's say like a lab environment. Yeah, because if you are a neurosurgeon, maybe you don't know how to cultivate cells, you know, but you are a good scientist and you know how to do the treatment for some cancers from neurosciences. I'm giving some example from your area. I'm trying to do. Yeah, you are mute, Srećko. Sorry, you are mute. Sorry.
Esther, do you have any opinion about this?
My opinion is that as Alliance for Life members, we are striving for excellence, and we are trying to show that in Eastern Europe we are doing a great research and great work. That's why we should go more for the quality than for the quantity. And if somebody feels that he cannot manage all his responsibilities in an ethical and professional way, maybe the person should take a lesser workload, or ways should be found that we will always maintain a certain level, a high level actually of professionalism, and show that we are doing great work, and we should really not compromise professionalism or ethics, in my opinion.
Thank you, Esther. Martins is already there, and our extra time is running out. So I'm inviting students to raise the hand, speak, and have a camera actually killed the discussion, which means how much we need to speak about communicating. And but anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the session, and I give my word. Thank you, the speakers. Thank you, students. Thank you, whoever was attending, and I give the word to Martin.
Thank you, Srećko. This was truly such a good session. Thank you very much to Esther and Juliana as well. Thank you. So many valuable and useful insights about scientific communication and communication in general, about storytelling. And as we can see, storytelling is very important for people to understand and care about very complicated concepts. So once again, thank you very, very much. Now we will have a small coffee break, and let's meet back here at 10:45 Central Time. Then we will have the last session of the day about funding opportunities for ESRs with two also amazing and great speakers. So see you at 10:45.